Hello everyone and welcome back once again. It's good to be back after a little bit of a break week, but we're back with round 7. Round 7 of 10 here of season 6 of SimSeniors. We've got a few things to talk about and more importantly, a championship that could be hanging in the balance for some. We've got a few different drivers that we want to keep an eye on tonight in particular as we look to the standings, but of course thank you to everyone who is joining us, whether you're driving tonight, whether you are driving for one of the other championships or the other events that SimSeniors does, or whether you're just happy to be here. You stumbled upon us, would love to have you. Welcome in. Do subscribe, give us a like on the stream if you love what we do here, and get involved with, for instance, the Facebook. We've got the Discord. We've also got a website as well where you can keep track of everything standings related. And with that being said, we are going to waste very little time getting into the racing good and proper tonight. So let's talk a bit about the standings before we get ourselves into the racing good and proper. Because the big thing for me here is going to be, of course, how the drivers are doing in this championship first and foremost. So let's take a quick look and see where they're at. First things first, let's take a look at the different drivers and their gold class. First up, David Lindblom is going to be leading 166 points, 28 points ahead of Peter Wolfslener in second in the McLaren, 138. We've got Zintar's Rates in the M4 GT3 with 99 points. And then the rest of the field starts to follow suit. You've got 97 points for the Ford Mustang of Dan Moffat, and then Sean O'Neill in 5th with the McLaren 720S at 93 points. So the top 5, while first and second have got a bit of a runaway, the rest of the field are fairly tight and fairly closed. And again, you can jump onto our website if you want to see the standings in full. Then looking off to our silver class runners, we have Justin Cutler, who is with 145 points in the AMR V8 Vantage. And then Adam Rios, 5 points behind in the Mustang. Tony McKibben makes it third with the Porsche 992, but a single point behind second place means that tonight is going to potentially be very high stakes for the Silver Runners indeed. You've got Craig Starkey, 130 points with an absolutely massive race effort last time out, one that we didn't fully get the chance to appreciate, but tonight we'll see if he keeps that momentum up and we can keep that excitement heading into tonight's race. With Colin McNair, league owner, 120 points currently sat in the McLaren 720. Then looking over finally to the bronze class, we have Paul Hamby leading with 166 points in the Lamborghini Huracan, one of the very few drivers to run such a vehicle. And in fact, if you look at the bronze class, they have 8 McLarens running. Out of the 16 drivers in bronze, 8 of them are running the 720S. So food for thought there. 8 McLarens, 4 Ferraris, and then a lone BMW, Aston, and Lamborghini here and there. But it's going to be Paul Hamby leading with 14 points clear of Stephen Howes in the Ferrari 296, followed by John Mitchell with 139, Mark Hughes with 114, and Alex North with 109. So where are we going tonight, folks? We're headed to Spa. We're headed to Spa Francorchamps. Of course, a brilliant circuit, challenging one, and one that is steeped in motorsport history, but most importantly, it's a championship decider potentially, because for some of these drivers, with the amount of running they have on the rest of this field right now, they could be set to walk away potentially with such a lead that it could prove insurmountable unless the rest of these players will play their cards right, get some good improvements here. But a lot hangs in the balance for them tonight. We're just about to go in line with qualifying. And for those who have not been with us before, the rules are you have a 5-minute practice, which the drivers are just completing now to confirm setups, remove any technical issues, and then a 15-minute qualifying with all of the bells and all whistles involved. We then go on to a full 60-minute race with a mandatory pit stop, but the pit stop is also a chance for drivers to make up some time because they do not have to get tyres. They just have to fuel up. But if they wish to get tyres, they are more than welcome to. And we'll see in due course what they plan to do here. as we are about to jump trackside. Let's see what they are going to do. As we can already see, if we jump on trackside, the absolute swathe of cars who are filing their way through. And let's see what they can do here as we jump on board. The first jump on board with is going to be Chris Wilson. And everyone immediately trying to make a getaway. See where they can get themselves into contention. A couple of notes as well, a couple of improvements from last time. We rightly had some people ask about whether we can have a bit more additional data, gaps, deltas, etc. And I'm pleased to say that that is going to be coming in with tonight's race. And I'm very much excited to see people's reaction. Let us know what you think of the improvements in the chat, of course. Looks like first in the queue is going to be Paul Hamby, bronze winner and current leader of the championship for his respective class. It's always an interesting dichotomy between the different drivers, because when you come to this point in the championship, you want to minimize fighting with the other groups, because the other groups are not necessarily going to pay you the kind of points that you're looking for. Either way, we'll see what they can do here. And once we start to get some laps down from the field, we will start to get a bit more of an idea of what kind of consistency and pace they're able to put down, as the deltas, a new addition to the timing tower as well, are going to be coming into effect. So let's see what it can do. This is going to be Paul Hamby, first car out, first one to take a stab at it. Let's see what he can do here. Let's see the kind of pace he can carry into La Source. So done tight to the apex, close as they can get before jumping out wide, making sure they carry as much speed as they possibly can. Eau Rouge and Radion now, of course, very high commitment corners. You have to absolutely nail your line through there. Looking very nice and clean from the Lamborghini. A little bit of a skip as we crest over the hill and the curbs, and then down through the Camel straight here. Going to be firing on all cylinders, easily crossing 250 kilometers an hour as we come through into the next sector of the course. Very nicely done here from Hamby. Good time being put up on the first sector. He's going to be the benchmark. He's going to be the time to beat here for a lot of these other drivers, purely by nature of being the first one out now. Into Puon. Another very high commitment part of the course. Relies a lot on your ability to maintain lateral grip at high speeds. It's a very nicely handled from the Lambo here. Now into the next section of the course very shortly. Campus Stavelo. Very well handled, looking very balanced, not necessarily any skittishness coming from the bronze driver here. Here we are, final sector. This is firing truly on everything, giving it absolutely everything you got here, as Hamby is going to be pushing it 110%, coming up to Blanchimont now. Are we going to see a lift from him, or are we going to see him remain full commitment? He's fully committed, fully loaded up, going a tad bit wide, but still keeping it within reins as we head up to the bus stop chicane now. Final couple of corners, going across the curbs, get across and on the throttle as early as you can before you get out into La Source again, and it's a 218.36. I will say 217.642 coming in from Lindblom. Immediately the times are falling down. We're going to see lots of cars now coming through. I say Paul Wallace is going to be another one firing through here You got Wilson, 218.7. You got Engdahl, 218.5. Wolfslener, 17.7. Lindblom continuing to put the good pace. Starkey, 218.9. Let's see what Paul Wallace can do here. Next one coming through after we've got a couple of others, unfortunately not having valid laps. It's going to be a 219.9 for Paul Wallace. A few more coming through. Johan Larsson, driver to watch in the gold class. One that does need to keep his wits about him if he wants to make it out with the rest of his group. Into bus stop, dropping right down the gears, using a little bit of engine braking there. Of course, very sharp braking zone. Probably prime for overtakes when it comes to the full core race. And a nice push there is going to unfortunately not be fully a valid lap, but he's going to be pushing on this one regardless. Meanwhile, at the front, Hamby remains committed to his run here and is going to be making quite the improvement. You can see he currently sat half a tenth up, so he could be going toe-to-toe with the gold class runners at the very front end of things. It'll be quite exciting to see what he can do, what he can make out of this, but also, don't get too overzealous. You don't want to rest on your laurels. You don't want to overextend. Get yourself an invalidation. Wolfslener could also be on good form. Let's see what he can do there. Wolfslener's coming around just a bit further back. We'll have to jump back on with him, see what he can do, because he's got the best second sector thus far. Hamby is going to make an improvement. I have zero doubts about that. He's going to jump up in time, but is it going to be enough to challenge for second? Let's see here. Coming up to the line, it's a 0.850 from Hamby. Not enough to make the jump on position. Meanwhile, Wolfslener, he's on core for a pole, and it's going to be a 0.420. Bit of a weak first sector, but a really strong sector 2 and 3. Really pulled that lap together. Excellent stuff from the McLaren. Speaking of, we have Colin McNair currently sat in the middle of the fray as more cars are going to be coming through. So McNair making quite a decent improvement here in quali. Doesn't look like we're going to get Dan Moffat here. We have 31 cars in attendance. Unfortunate to see, as he was certainly a wild card in this championship competition. We are McNair coming up to bus stop now. Find the balance. Jump on the throttle as quick as you can. Very good exit there from the McLaren, and it's going to be fifth, a 17.965. Brilliant stuff from the Iron Brew laden 720S. Nicely done indeed. We jump on to one of the BMWs. It's going to be Chris Wilson. On good form through Sector 1 and potentially Sector 2. But there are other cars as well who are pushing all the same. You've got Johan Larsson, I believe, just went fastest. You've got Lindblom going for a challenge on the lead here. See, the track is currently a surface temp of, I believe, 23 degrees C. So we are going to see thermal management come a lot more into play. Conditions are otherwise spotless, but yeah, very hot track surface. The thermal management and thermal degradation is a concern. Either way, Lindblom continuing the push. The sectors don't tell the full story, and they will be updated in due course as we come up to bus stop now. It's currently half a second up and on track to absolutely eclipse Wolfslener's second run time. 7/10 up as we come out of bus stop. Very good exit and jumping on the throttle. That's a 0.16. That's a 16.950, folks. An amazing run from Lindblom, and that is going to be the new pole, the new benchmark, and a time to beat for many. Got Aldhouse coming through in the Ferrari, just about to finish the lap. Let's see what we can do here. We've got a few jumps around this field. We've got Stephen Howells jumping up into P20. Is that going to remain, though? Because you've got Goddard on a specific gain. You've got Aldhouse making up 7/10. He's going to post himself much further up the grid. He's going to go up to 18th position. Is there going to be a response from the field? Paul Wallace now coming across the line is going to immediately displace the Ferrari. He's going to push him down to P19 himself. And you've got Andy Goddard, another one of the McLarens coming through. Currently 22nd, but times are going to be very much condensing as we head into the final 5 minutes of qualifying here. I believe ambient temps are 20 degrees. At least if my internal data is correct. No, 21 degrees with a 24 degree track surface temp. So you're right, it's ambient temps are a bit more important there. My correction on that, my mistake. Either way, Andy Goddard coming through P17. Very nice run indeed. John Mitchell, another car to watch. There's one pushing through. See what we can do here coming into Blanchimont. Very nicely done. A little bit wider on the exit there, but still within track limits. It was still on the curbs, so it's a valid lap by all concern. Anyway, slightly shaky exit coming out of bus stop, not quite hitting the speed he'd like. It's only going to be 26th for John Mitchell. We look to the top of the field, we could see a couple of movements up. Justin Cutler, of course, being the one to watch for silver. Currently leads the silver class. And is going to be trying his best to push. He's currently breaking even. It's exactly flat, but let's not forget he's currently leading the silver class by a substantial margin, say, in terms of the points. Marsh going up into second as well. Really impressive run. Sort of being caught a little bit under the radar there. Splitting Lindblom and Wolfslander. Definitely been giving it the beans tonight. Cutler currently leads for silver, and then Hamby is well and truly clear of the bronze. Currently sat with a .850. The next closest bronze driver is going to be Andy Goddard, and that's an 18.855. So over a second for the Lamborghini. Well, Justin doing a very good job of remaining exactly on status quo with his previous time. No major improvements coming in. In fact, he's going to yield and abandon this lap. It's not going to be the one that takes him to victory today. Goddard coming through the line, just in time to catch him. About 7/10 improvement. He's going to be jumping up quite healthily into P14, but that could be challenged as Alex North is going to come through up into P25. Not quite getting that improvement, but he's certainly trying to push and get some momentum as we head into the last 2 minutes now. Now this is make or break. For many drivers here, they're not going to have time to go back out on track, so they have to commit to what they're on. They're very much going to have to commit to whatever run they are currently with, and whoever takes the best runs here is going to set themselves up very comfortably. Now, one that we haven't quite paid attention to, or a few I should say, is we've got 3 drivers at the back with no time currently set and formalised on the boards. We have a couple of invalids from Holmberg and Hughes, but these bottom 3, Holmberg, Hughes and Payton, they have not got proper times to their name. But Holmberg is currently sat on a 218.3, and that could potentially be dropped massively as he's 1.3 seconds up on the Delta. Let's see what he can do here, because it is going to be the final minute here, and we are going to have a last-ditch effort from the front. Larson is going to post himself up into second position, and are we going to see any challenge come from the rest of the field? We'll have to wait and see. Don't see Lindblom going for another run, so maybe not. Interesting tidbit from Hartnell in this chat is that the Porsche won last season on this track, so maybe the characteristics of that car are a lot more favourable. Maybe the slip angle, something like that, so a lot more comforting to the drivers here. Got Holmberg coming through. Very good time we're on. He's going to get to the line, and he's going to jump all the way to 10th position. Very impressive from this McLaren here. Well done indeed. I tip my cap to you, good sir. We've got a couple more cars coming through as qualifying is coming to an end here. The checkered flag has officially fallen and many cars are now headed into the pits. Cutler is a few tenths up on his previous time and is going to be next to cross the checkered flag. Let's see what he can do here. Is he going to be able to push up into 5th? I don't know about 4th because it's all going to depend on the bus stop. But he's currently 3 tenths up and he's got very good momentum. Couple of chops and trades. Serrano 14th. More and more cars now heading into the pits. It's a bit of a hop over the sausage curb for Cutler, losing a lot of pace there. Is not going to be the improvement he's looking for. He just whiffs that final corner, and that results in him not walking away with the time that he so desperately sought. Wolfslener barely keeping it within track limits, but just about hanging on to the legal lap. 3 tenths up. This could put him in P3. And a good bus stop could put him into the front row. Let's see what he does here in the McLaren. Nicely done here. Pumping the brakes hard. Very good bus stop coming here. And it is going to be a solid improvement. Wolfslener goes into 3rd place. Is just under half of a tenth. But Lindblom is going to come across the line very soon as well. Is going to get purple sectors. Is going to be an even bigger improvement and margin. As it comes across the line, it's a 0.677. That is an immense lap coming from the current pole sitter and championship leader. Holmberg, last one across the field. Let's see what he can do here. Remember, P10 coming in at the very last second. He could even make it further than that because just a single tenth will jump him several positions. And we go. It's not going to be enough as you have an invalidation coming through on the final dying moments of the session. Lindblom is going to take the checkered flag in terms of qualifying and take pole position. Forgive me for mixing up the turns ever so slightly. But Johan Larsson in 2nd with Wolfslener in 3rd. That is going to be your standing for gold class. You have David Marsh also and Engdahl just slightly behind. Special kudos to them because they did put up some really good runs earlier on. Cutler is going to lead the silver class alongside Craig Starkey and Colin McNair. And then for your bronzes, we have Paul Hamby. Mighty runs once again with Andy Goddard and Jorge Saloma in 3rd place. Although we may have a bit of a moment because it seems like Saloma has lost connection. But that's where we take a bit of an intermission here, folks. So we are going to be taking a short break to make sure that we're set up and ready for the race. Do not go anywhere, and we will see you very shortly. Okay, folks, and welcome back. Thank you for your patience on that one. And we are about to jump trackside once again for the race itself. Now, a reminder, folks, that we have ourselves a 60-minute race. 60-minute race with a mandatory pit stop for fuel. Now, drivers don't have to take tyres, but they can if they so desire it also. That's going to be a bit of a shake-up in terms of the strategy and also with your management. Now, it is still very hot out today. It's 21 degrees Celsius here at Spa with a 26-degree track surface temp, but that ambient temperature in particular is going to have to be the factor that drivers keep the most eye on. Of course, managing your tyres, managing your cooling, that is paramount. Making sure your car is running at optimal performance. But let us know who you are keeping an eye on here with today's racing. Of course, we saw great runs from all of the drivers involved. We saw all of them give it at absolutely everything. And we are going to be in due course seeing who is going to take the fight to the front of the grid. And we are going to be jumping slightly further up, because we have, of course, at the front, we have two cars. We have Lindblom and Larsen. And these two are going to be controlling the start of the race, and they are going to have quite the work ahead of them. But let's see what they can do here, because we are just getting underway now with the formation lap. And once formation is done, we are going to be cooking and firing on all cylinders. Reminder of our quali order: you have Lindblom, Larsen and Wolfslander leading for gold, with Cutler, Starkey and McNair leading for silver, and Hamby, Goddard and Saloma in for bronze. Everyone is going to be getting themselves into ideal position. I don't know how much in terms of warming up efforts we're going to see, considering the ambient temperature is so high. Yeah, the formation lap is a chance for everyone to get themselves reacclimatized, get themselves in the right headspace, get the cars up to operating temps. There's not much to worry about if you are near the front of the grid, but if you are, say, near the middle, as we will exhibit with the likes of Trevor down in P16, slap bang in the middle of the course and the driver's field, going to have to keep his wits about him, because we know all too well that things can get a little bit dicey if not taken care of expertly. But my advice to all the drivers is don't get overzealous. Don't overdo it. Don't pressure too hard in these opening laps, because when you are not fully in your racing rhythm, it's very easy to make mistakes. It's very easy to get your car out of position, and then that's where accidents happen. So let's hope for a clean start as always. Let's hope for the drivers giving it their all, but keeping it safe above all else. And now we wait, and we can hopefully see what these drivers can do. Now, the standard rules are for formation: you keep in a relatively close pack, you go up 50% speed, and then you drop all the way down to 60 kilometers to allow drivers to go in double file. This is going to be a pretty important round for some in terms of the championship. For the likes of Cutler, for instance, this could be a chance to extend his lead, considering we are missing Rios, and I believe we are also missing McKibben. Starkey is the next closest challenger, 15 points away. We get ourselves into formation very soon. Before long, we will be going at full race pace for a 60-minute run. Let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can do here. So coming out of bus stop, everyone's going to start lining up. You can see the flood of cars. 32 cars we have on track tonight, folks. So it's going to be a packed circuit. Going to be a brilliant time for all. And see a little bit of a, let's say, back and forth. As now everyone is slowing right down. On board with Lindblom first thing. Oh, here we go, folks. We go around La Source. We have ourselves the 7th round of Season 6 here at SimSeniors. The track is hot here in Belgium as always. And with everyone being set, geared and greased, ready to go, it's time to go racing. 60 minutes and pedal to the metal. As soon as you hear the green flag call, we are going to be getting away. And there is the call from race control. We is go, go, go. And immediately it's going to be Johan Larsson with a great start. Brilliant momentum being caught off at the start and just being slightly faster with the reaction time. He's going to push himself early as soon as he can up into first position. Immediately take the command of the field and doing so in quite a concise and cohesive manner. You've got a big tussle down the middle here as well. You've got the likes of Cutler, Hamby, McNair, Holmberg all looking for the same piece of road, and nobody is going to be yielding an inch. And in fact, oh, that's contact, McNair and Starkey both coming together. I'm not sure what the context was behind that incident, but big issues coming from the back of the field, and even further back, that's Mark Hughes. Hughes is also down himself. Unfortunate start for some. Big chaos coming out just in the first few laps, or even just in the first couple of corners, I should say, to be more accurate, as we are going to see many drivers drop off in a substantial way. Saloma himself having a bit of an issue there, struggling to regain composure along the likes of Barham, who was the other, I think one of the other drivers who narrowly avoided issue in the incident. And don't forget the damage as well. Damage is going to be a big factor here, as that is going to be quite a lot of this field dropping down significant positions. Yes, Barham currently sat 20th. Starkey having recovered into P19. Just about keeping it together. Meanwhile, back at the front, we have Lindblom chasing hard. That is going to be right on the back of Johan Larsson. Initial timing is looking good. 2:49.8 initial lap here from Larsson. Of course, that is going to drop significantly, but you can immediately see the pressure that Lindblom is trying to exert on his opponent. He wasn't happy with that initial move into Eau Rouge and Radion. See the chase down from the front here. And a couple of warning signs coming out, as there's going to be Starkey immediately recovering a few positions, jumping up into P16, capitalizing on the mistakes from the likes of Goddard, and Wallace also dropping some significant time. Let's see if we can get a bit of a recap on what happened earlier in the race. As, ooh, a little bit problems for Starkey there. Starkey's situation has gone from bad to worse. Let's get a bit of a recap on that. See exactly what went wrong there. So this is going to be the replay. Jumping in with Starkey. Eau Rouge and Radion now. Just a bit of a wobble and, oh, just piling into that tyre wall. Not looking good for him whatsoever. And while we're at it, we can see some of the chaos that is kicking off around this field. Look a bit further down, we see the fighting continue to stir. There's going to be a few position trades coming out. Say credit to Starkey for continuing. And continuing to push on best as he can despite the situation and despite the obviously wounded car. Simon Aid going for an attack on Paul Wallace. Wallace has been dropping positions consistently. They're going to go side by side heading into campus. And Stavilo could potentially be a confirm for him. Going to be right on the racing line. Is Paul Wallace going to be able to do anything? Not quite. Doesn't have the pace coming out the exit. A little bit of a tail swipe from the McLaren. But Wallace, you can see, struggling hard with the front end. I think struggling to turn in on a lot of these corners. You're looking around. A lot of these drivers are just trying to find their places at this point. They don't want to fight too hard because we saw the chaos that happened on lap 1. But they do want to try and at least establish a good foothold within the circuit. Something that also is looking to push and pressure on. He's going to go very narrow into the corner and practically force his way into P19. But Wallace is not going to be having any of it here. It's going to be a drag race between them as they head into Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Wallace is just going to have the better line out of that toe. With Howes also closing in, getting a much better momentum through that section of the track. Meanwhile, we also see Mike Pollock. What has happened to him? Let's get another run there. I think we had an altercation between Sean O'Neill and Mike Pollock, and we're just about to see the aftermath of that. Let's see if we can catch it there. And oh no, so that was so that was Sean O'Neill's perspective. Let's actually get a look at what happened with Pollock. We're gonna have to get a replay from his perspective too. So of course, coming into Eau Rouge and Raidillon, this section of the track looking to claim multiple cars, just gets the tail out, and again also into the tyre wall, and just catching. There you go. That's clipping Sean O'Neill. Looks like him, along with Starkey and Hughes, are all going to be in the pits. Starkey, with significant damage, has been in the pits for over a minute now. We look to the front, and in the storm that is the mid-pack, the front seems to be relatively calm. We have Lindblom continuing to put pressure on Larson. Is Larson going to be able to defend this time? Good run through bus stop, and oh, a little bit of a narrowing. Oh, that's a front grid chaos. That is Lindblom tapping the back of Marsh there. Oh no, that was Larson, sorry. There's Marsh. Marsh has taken first place. Marsh has taken first place. Lindblom has yielded out of, I assume, respect and sportsmanship, not wanting that move on the track. And oh, it's not going to be looking good though for Engdahl, as they themselves are going to be losing the rear. Coming out of La Source. It's chaos. It's slice and dice everywhere around this circuit. Nobody is willing to yield an inch. Let's see, you see Lindblom. He is going to be cutting across the track through Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Larson is a bit of a ways up the road. Hamby is currently sat third, which I think is mighty impressive coming from the bronze class driver. But Damien Reed losing a bit of time. Trevor Waite just coming up on the rear. There's going to be a significant push coming from the McLaren just behind. Is he going to be able to make it work? It's not a good position in the track to do so. It wants to remain balanced here. It doesn't want to go too aggressive on the attack, otherwise he's just going to leave himself open. So how he's going to play out these next few laps is certainly going to be interesting. Also look a bit further down, we see Andy Goddard, who's going to be taking the fight to Gary Barham through Pouhon, very similarly so. Now he's looking much closer here to the other McLaren. You can even see him tucking out to the left side ever so slightly, trying to escape the dirty air. Has been trying to put the hammer down, get some pressure on his opponent, and most importantly, get some race positions. A little bit of slip on the rear from Goddard. He's still going to keep some decent pace, but he's dropped away from Barham. He's lost that advantage he was so desperate to press. You also have at the front, that's going to be Trevor. Trevor lurking alongside, coming out of Blanchimont on Damien Reed for a top 10 spot. You got Colin McNair also slightly behind. And then many others also looking to take some positions. McNair, for instance, he's going to be chasing down this field. Seeing what they do. Keep an eye on Serrano here. Serrano is going to be the linchpin in this attack. Serrano gets a good line, overtakes Trevor, and he can almost follow his lead. Oh, poor line from Trevor as he's trying to chase down Reed. It's not quite happening. That is going to be a car sideways. That's going to be Mark Hughes. We'll revisit him in just a second, but that is one coming out from McNair. He's up into P12. That is Trevor up into P10. Are they going to make the move stick? It's going to be Serrano back on the inside here for the Iron Brew McLaren. A little bit of a wobble, though, from Serrano is going to concede him down to P13. And Trevor up into P10, but he's not done yet. Damien remains looking to the apex. He's going to have the nose in. Contact between the two. Big slides coming out. Barely keeping the grip on. Sliding right into the path of Colin. Crazy stuff here coming out from this mid-pack battle. Nobody's going to be resting on their laurels just yet, though, as that's going to be Trevor, of course, still recovering from that incident against Reed. He's going to be vulnerable. There's going to be contact going through Pouhon. A bit of a four-wheel slide coming in as Trevor is going to now be vulnerable to Serrano. Tucking to the left, tucking to the right. Door being closed. And a little bit of a deep run there for Waite is going to be quite it's going to be quite a dicey half a lap for these four. The space is certainly not optional, fellas. Hey, some dicey moves and some, well, there's a mixture of being opportunistic and also space just not being left in some cases. So we'll have to, of course, see what the rest of the field makes of it and the different attitudes towards the moves. Let's see what they can do. Meanwhile, up at the front, you've got Johan Larsson on the back of Dave Marsh. Fighting hard, but not necessarily pressing within that magic half a second just yet. I know, very aggressive on the attack here is Larsson, of course, trying to close the gap. Doing his absolute best. And getting fairly close in some cases. Meanwhile, we can jump to Camel. We can see quite the fight once again for the mid-pack. It's some familiar faces. It's Serrano. It's Saloma now getting involved in this action, as it's going to be Trevor on the defensive this time. Colin has broken out quite a substantial gap, which means the main fight is between P12 to P14. Now a quick travel back in time for Mark Hughes here as well, as they were trying to rejoin the track earlier, and I believe this was just coming off their incident, so fortunately not the correct camera. Thank you, ACC TV, very much for that one. The camera not giving me the correct one that I asked for. So Serrano, meanwhile, is dropping to 15th. Had a bit of a wobble coming out of Puon. And then at the front, we can see that it's time. It's go time for Johan Larsson. He's had enough of waiting. He's chasing the Porsche down. Porsche, of course, being a very potent combo on this track, as earlier informed during qualifying. Characteristics favourable here in Belgium. As we cross over into lap 6 now. It's going to be Marsh v Larsson, but they need to keep themselves behaved. Why do they need to keep themselves behaved? Because there is a car that's 1.7 seconds back and on a very good pace. His name is David Lindblom. And that Mustang is looking like a threat. It's not too distant. In fact, you can see him just in his crosshairs, about 1.5 seconds away. We could potentially reel them in. That's going to be Larsson taking the spot on Kemmel. I'm going to confirm through Lecom. Nicely done from the McLaren. Marsh is now in second. Lindblom, of course, being the threat and the driver to beat, both in this championship and in this race so far, coming off a very strong qualifying in a pole position. You see some trades a bit further down. That is going to be a big swing outward for Goddard, as him and Serrano are going to trade spots coming out of the Kemmel straight. We see also that Simon Aid is going to be dropping down, and that's Stephen Howells going off the track. Let's see what happened once again coming onto the helicam. Let's see exactly what happened for Howells. Oh, there you go. Just a bit of over-rotation straight into the tyre wall. Not looking good for him there. And it's not going to be a good race a day for him. Simon Aid also another one jumping out here. Curiously, Mark Hughes has been the source of a few different yellow flags here. Unfortunate to see from him. But we have cars who have already taken a pit stop technically in this session, but just not the ones on the actual pace that they want. On board with Simon Aid. Got Gerardo Uso and James Payton very close behind. They are going to be having quite the tussle for space there. Who's going to be peeking around the side? That's going to be also sticking the nose in through bus stop. Space being left by Simon. Just having the superior position, superior momentum coming out of the corner. Very favourable to the McLaren. Nice running here from all of the drivers. Also, Payton now dropping off in terms of pace a little bit. You can see at the bottom is Hughes and Pollock fighting for a space potentially, but this is P31 and P30. We have lost one of the drivers. They have retired out. Hughes, though, continues. Very good stuff. Now, we mentioned earlier as well that you want to avoid the drivers fighting. Now, there is a Mustang who is chasing down and is now within a couple of tenths of Dave Marsh. Lindblom has made up some very good pace. And despite the odds, despite everything, 217.617 last lap compared to a 19.1 from Marsh. That tells all the story you need to know. Mind you, equal pace with Larsson last lap, only 5 milliseconds between them, but Lindblom is closing in and wants to retake those top spots. Hungry for it. So coming up to the back, setting up the move through the bus stop chicane. Heavy on the brakes, slightly later than the Porsche. Very nicely executed there from Lindblom. Almost flawless overtake into second place. Great stuff there, great lap, and now has 2 seconds up the road to catch on to Larson. That's going to be his next challenge, whilst defending from any potential attacks that Marsh might make. Slipstream isn't the biggest factor, but it's a factor nonetheless. One to be cautious and patient of. See, Marsh is going to retain proximity. It is otherwise not going to be quite the major threat I think Lindblom had in mind at one point. Impressive stuff there from all three at the top. Now I look forward to seeing how Larson is going to challenge these next couple of laps. We're on the 20-minute mark now, folks. So a third of the way through the race. And now is going to be where some drivers may potentially look at early stops. It's not uncommon to see. Not uncommon to see at all. And in fact, some cases it can prove beneficial depending on how well you manage your tyres and your thermals. The track is only getting hotter here today, folks, because it is coming up to midday here in Belgium, and we are hitting 22 degrees ambient temperature, 27 degrees track surface. And a bit of a wobble there from Larson. That could give a chance for Lindblom to reel in, but really, Lindblom is in fact losing time. He's not gaining it to Larson. So I wonder what's going on there. You see a bit of a tussle further down this field as you've got Simon, Wallace, also and Peyton all starting their own little battles as we head through, coming out of Sector 2 and heading up towards Beaufrère and Blanchimont. We've seen a bit of a back and forth between all of these drivers. One of them pushes for a move, doesn't quite confirm. Simon is going to extend the track coming out of Blanchimont, unfortunately, so not going to want the move coming out of that. Otherwise it could be seen as illegal. Good recovery effort. Trying to keep proximity. Peyton, similar story. Chasing down Orso. And not quite having the luck that he so desires when it comes to the on-track pace. Well, Simon Aid did go for a little bit of a move, I believe, but ended up yielding to Wallace. Not really sure what happened there, but Wallace has overextended coming out of Rouge and Oradion. And the front of the grid is starting to space out a little bit more. Let's jump on board with Cutler, for instance. So about a second behind Paul Hamby. Hamby himself in 5th and doing excellently here in the season. A lot of the grid spacing out majorly. We are seeing trades. We are not remiss from a couple of positional moves. Thompson and Mitchell have just had a bit of a tussle, and a bit of a mistake from Mitchell yielded the position. We've got Peyton continuing to pressure Urso, and in fact is coming up very close to taking the move. He could set it up and confirm it heading into Pouon. Let's see what he does here. To remain tight to the outside. Is going to go for a little bit of a switchback. Remains a little bit tighter to the apex. Not quite having the pace to lock it in, however. But he's fighting tooth and nail. Goddard has also caught up to this fight and potentially could take a bit of a challenge. Oh, a little bit of a wobble there from Peyton. That could put him in Goddard's clutches. up very close to the back of that Lamborghini there. We're coming through Blanchimont. Again, fully committed. Is there going to be an attack on bus stop? No, they're going to yield. You can see that Hayton has gone defensive and in fact is trying to push for the move. As Peyton also continue their fight. It's going to be Peyton just eking out the position heading into La Source. Can they keep it together? Is there going to be any switchback action from Orso? I don't think so. They didn't have the cutback like they were so expecting. And even with a bit more pace coming out from the Ferrari, it's not enough to establish the position. Now Goddard is going to be the next one to watch. He is going to be pressuring that Ferrari to do the same. Coming up very close, coming out of the uphill. And then going to basically unlap himself. That is Craig Starkey filing his way through. And all contacts between himself and Goddard there. That is a contact. That is not ideal for him whatsoever. No, that was also my mistake, but still. Far from an ideal scenario for the Bentley. Just went a little bit too deep on it. He had one but couldn't make it the other. And he was going to yield out to the pits after going into the gravel. It's a race to forget here, unfortunately, for Starkey. Unfortunate because he is doing extremely well in the championship thus far. Damien Reed taking a bit of a wobble in 10th position, but has afforded himself a little bit of space thanks to the rest of the field starting to fight and spread themselves out. You keep in your own lane. You can keep yourself out of trouble and you can prevent any mishaps. We have lost Starkey. Starkey is disconnected, so now we are down to 30 drivers, ladies and gentlemen. 30 out of 32 finishers, potentially, as we come up to the halfway mark. Just taking a moment to observe Serrano here. Had quite a tumultuous first half of the race, but has seemingly found a moment of calm. He's on the back of Barham within a second, so he still has moves being set up, but for the next couple of laps he can afford to take it a little bit easier. He's not having to fight with everything just to retain position. You've got 7.5 seconds between himself and Wallace, and his next class challenger is a second behind that. So don't forget the class dynamics, folks. He can fight with Wallace, but does he have to necessarily, considering he's in a different group? Same goes for Hamby. Hamby, for instance, is only going to be challenged by Saloma, and Saloma is over 10 seconds behind that Lamborghini. So does he need to fight? Not really. If Hamby concedes a position to maybe Cutler or Larson here and there, it's not a big deal to him, because his real opponent is all the way down in 13th. So he doesn't have to be over-aggressive. And that's the thing here, balancing your race effort, knowing when to push, when to yield, when to go to the pits, and when is the right time to execute an overtake. That's racecraft. The race strategy, the ability to combat on and off the track, that's what separates the great drivers from the goods. Damien Reed continuing to chase. This time it's on Chris Wilson. Looking for an opportunity, a little bit of contact on the rear. That's going to be Engdahl, Cutler, Wilson all into the pits, however, now. And is going to be first of many, I imagine, to be taking stops as we head into this crucial mid-period of the race distance. Let's see what it can do. Fighting hard. When we look across the field, you can see masses of drivers now heading into the pit lane. You've got 6 cars now in, and more surely to follow. Liam Blom, meanwhile, is near the front and is within a second and a half of Larson, so he's done well to catch up the time, and is going to be a driver certainly to watch as we head through into this crucial portion. When is he going to pit? That's what I want to know. When are the leaders going to pull into the pits? We've already seen some jump in. They take fairly long pit stops at that. But when they are going to be coming out, we're going to play just as much of a factor. A quick stop coming out into minimal traffic, that could set you up for a potential 2 to 3 overtakes. Or in Lindblom's case, good timing can keep him the lead. Let's see what they can do. See Peyton in the Lamborghini trying to chase down Simon Aid. Going to be a tough job for him here, I gotta say, because the pressure is on to get a quick position and get it as soon as he can. Doesn't have the luxury of time, because for all he knows, his opponent could go into the pits next lap and leave him hung out to dry. So there is certainly eyes and scrutiny, but he is going to make it work. Although Aid is headed into the pits, he did just about get the position before he went in, and now we're seeing a massive slew of drivers heading in. That's Lindblom, Marsh, Hamby, Waits, Saloma, Serrano, Aid, all in to the pits now, along with North, Thompson, and others coming out of the pits as we speak. But Lindblom in particular is going to be an interesting case, because they are going to be pulling into the pit. And now this leaves Larson in a pocket of his own. And this is in fact where he's going to start finding a little bit of a precarious situation, because he's in the mix with other drivers. He is very much looking for a little bit of space, because that's Paul Wallace in 25th behind. We're seeing a bit of an eclectic mix of track spacing. We have some drivers who have a bit of open space to try and push themselves to get even faster times. For instance, Melon here, 12th. He's got easily 5 seconds each side. And with Marsh and Lindblom both now only just coming out of the pits, Lindblom, of course, going to be just out front. Slightly faster pit stop coming from the Mustang. Hamby now rejoining in 16th. And then others to follow. Larson is now into the pits himself. The McLaren, who was leading the race, is now going to be jumping to the pit lane. And we're going to be seeing a little bit of a wobble from others as Larson impacts the wall as they come into the pit lane. Same with Holmberg now coming in. Damien Reed is going to assume the lead of the race. That's Reed in the lead as we come up to the 14th lap of this race tonight. I've got to say, it's been an absolutely stunning race thus far, and one that I've had an absolute pleasure commentating over. We're going to see a lot of switching and shifting about, but the thing that I'm curious of is where Larson is going to end up, where Johan Larson is going to end up out of the pit lane because he's got one driver that he needs to keep an eye on above all else, and that is Lindblom. So Lindblom coming through the Blanchimont now. And coming into the bus stop chicane. That is the driver they need to beat. Got the other Larson, Patrick. Also going to be joining him in there. Barham and Mellon going to be the same. Marsh not too far behind. So let's see where Johan Larson comes out here. Larson is out of the pits. Are they going to be out ahead of Lindblom? This is it. Time will tell. Is it going to be just the right timing? It is. They're just going to be ahead. Lindblom and Johan Larson, they remain spaced out. And in fact, Johan Larson has gained about 2 seconds throughout the course of this pit stop period. So the differential is of note, but Lindblom is going to have a saving grace in the form of this crucial pit lap exit period. Johan Larson is still going to have to do a little bit of work to reacclimatise himself to his new grip levels and get his car into operating order once again. Still has a chance to close that gap once more, but as it stands, things are looking a little bit interesting, as Johan has effectively nuked the past 4 laps of progress from the Mustang. If you hear any background noise, I do apologise. I had a very rigorous workout yesterday and my body is struggling to take that one so well. So, never doing 3 times 100 on a casting night, or before a casting night. I'll say that much. We've got 2.7 seconds now between Larson and Lindblom. We look around the field. Barham and Serrano are still keeping proximity. But a lot of the field has begun to space out. And in some cases, they've spaced out by a matter of laps. Mike Pollock, for instance, is a lap entirely behind Robert Homer, the number 6 car. We're down to 29 drivers now as well, folks, so important to keep in mind we have lost another car. But Serrano has closed the gap a bit to Barham, and could even look to tee up a move into bus stop if they play their cards right. They're even peeking up to the right side, not going to fully commit, they're a bit too far back so far. But the opportunity is there. The chance is very much in their hands. And we're seeing a lot more cars now coming in and out of the pit lane. Colin McNair is going to be having a stop. Going to be coming out 10th on the field. A very good pit stop from the silver driver. Damien Reed is going to be in the lead of the race, but of course has yet to stop and is going to now be taking their time in the lane. That means that there are only a few cars left who have needed to take their stops, and after Damien Reed comes out, everyone will have had their time in the pits. Also coming out of the pit, Aldhouse also doing the same. A lot of cars suddenly filing their way out of the pit lane all at once, which is prime time for those already on the track to make an attack. We've got Barham, who had a little bit of an altercation, hence the warning. Thimble. A bit of an altercation with Serrano. Serrano is far from giving up just yet. I'll say very impressive run here from a lot of these cars. Simonade, for instance, P17 chasing down Peyton. Continuing the fight that they had prior to the pit stop period. Seems to be on some good pace so far, but did invalidate this current lap for track limit, so won't be fully representative of the pace, and too many of those will see you get slapped with potential automatic penalties by the in-game stewarding system. Damien Reed having a little bit of an excursion out into P11 after the stop. As Chris Wilson is just going to overtake him on the exit. And this is your true representative order now, folks. This is the actual order we're looking at. Hamby remains up in P5, being a stalwart defender of the lead for bronze. You've got Justin Cutler doing a similar job, and 6 seconds clear of the likes of Colin McNair up in second. Meanwhile, Johan Larsson continues to hold the field in the pro class, in the gold class, with Lindblom now 1.7 seconds behind. Once again, they did well to recover that lost time with a couple of laps out from the pit, but Lindblom now needs to keep that momentum high in order to lock in and potentially regain first position. Keep in mind, folks, they yielded the position after a bit of a messy overtake into the bus stop chicane gone wrong. They yielded all the way to 4th place. So they could have minimised that a little bit, or at least reduced the amount that they yielded for. Goddard and Mellon looking to trade blows as well down the further end of the field. Looks like a bit of a switchback could come on the McLaren, but nope, just poor timing on the attack. Does mean that Mellon is going to be residing in P25. Goddard takes and retains P24. I see many drivers done very well in terms of their position starts. Relative to their starting positions, we've seen some amazing gains for some. For instance, I believe that we have got 16 positions gained for Peyton, 12 positions lost for Sean O'Neill. And then some drivers are breaking even. Like Cutler started 6th, finished 6th. Let's see what they can do these final 20 minutes of the session here, as this is crunch time for a lot of the drivers. This is where they have to decide and commit to whether they are going to stay in their current position or they're going to fight their way up, start closing time. Trevor Waite already knows what he wants to go for, as that is going to be a big attack, and that is going to be a big spin and rotate, forces Saloma off the track. Has to quickly get off the racing line before further incident occurs, as Barham and Serrano filing their way through, cutting across the track. Luckily, no further cars coming through. Trevor rejoining in 15th. Serrano and Barham continue to fight as well as they jump down into Bruxelles and on their way to Pouhon. Going to be a hard-fought battle. Serrano has truly had enough. He's run out of patience, even with a peak of the nose in. A little bit of slip angle coming from the McLaren. Bit more pace coming through the BMW. Can't quite carry it, however. There's a little bit of a wider arc for the BMW, trying to retain the pace. They're pushing hard, racing harder. Bit of a wobble, however, coming across the curb out for Stavolo. That was unfortunate there, as Serrano had a good advantage there, and just one of those mistakes is all it takes to drop such an opportunity. Meanwhile, we jump with a familiar face. It's going to be Lindblom, though. Lindblom is now within a second of Larsson. This could be the move that makes him in the lead. He coming up very close to the back of that McLaren there. pushing almost 280 kilometers an hour, giving it absolutely everything, jumping on the brakes there. Very nicely attacked, but not quite done yet. That's going to be Larson continuing to fight. They're going to be on the curbs. They're going to be on the edge of the track, retaining that position, giving it everything it's worth. These two are going to continue to come to blows throughout the rest of this lap. I don't doubt it. Larson has felt the pressure, and Lindblom has set the initial attack. Now it's a mind game. Bait your opponent out into a position where they cannot fight any harder. And then that's when they make mistakes and you come sweeping right through. Let's see how well they fight after all. Lindblom, of course, being a constant top-level threat. Larson chasing that impossible goal right now, what it feels like anyway, because Lindblom is not looking like he's going anywhere. Trying to get a breakaway, trying to get some space, put on the best race he can. But even with some dirty air to contend with, Lindblom is closing in now. So close to the back of that McLaren as he comes through. Through Blanchimont now, fully committed. Bus stop is going to be a bit of a defensive from Johan Larson. Is there going to be any moves coming out of bus stop here? Very nice lines from the both of them. Attempted switchback a bit earlier on the throttle, but doesn't quite get the pace out of the corner that he would like. Second sector dropping a little bit in particular, but best first sector for Lindblom. It shows he has got the pace on tap, and it's 4/10 faster last lap than Larson was. The aggression, the pace, it's all on point. It's all on tap. And giving it 110% effort is Lindblom right now. Because he knows he can do this. He's well within range. Is he going to go for it coming out of Kemmel? Going to peek to the left, but again, Larson on the ideal line and slightly defensive. Not going to allow such a move to occur. Great stuff coming through here. Great fighting from these two. Also see a bit of a similar fight. Wilson and Reed will tune back within later. But Reed and Wilson have been coming very close to making an attack on one another. And so I don't doubt within the next few laps they're going to go down a similar path. Going to be some brilliant racing about to take place here, folks. You do not want to go anywhere for this. We're in the final 15 minutes too. We see Alex North now coming out of the pit just now. I wonder what the reasoning behind it was. Did he have a potential issue with the car, or is that just his scheduled stop? Pretty sure he already took one. Lindblom losing a bit of time further up ahead. But Reed is the one to watch. As he's tight to the back of that BMW. He could even go for it into Blanchimont. Let's see. He's going to tuck right to the back. He's going to go to the right side. Looking for any space, any opportunity, even extending a little bit wide out of Blanchimont. That's as hard as he's going. There was a switchback coming through. But bumping up on the sausage curb means that they nuked the pace that they came out of the corner with. Not looking good for him. Lindblom in a similar boat because they have dropped down to a second's gap between himself and Larson, losing a lot of time last lap. Not ideal for him whatsoever. Now can get a bit of that time back, but it's going to be a hard-fought battle with the competition he's currently sat with. Looks like Alex North is having a little bit of trouble, as Goddard has just very easily taken P23 off of him. And North is dropping significantly on pace. Rough stuff here for some drivers. And some drivers have dealt a bad hand from the lap 1 incident. A lot of cars got caught up in that, unfortunately. And that has left a lasting impression, be that additional stop time or just overall pace and confidence being a bit of a struggle. We've seen some winners come out of it. For instance, McNair doing very well, currently second in the respective class, only beaten by Cutler about 6 seconds up the road. We have Lindblom, who has now closed the gap to Johan Larsson. Chasing very much right to the back of that McLaren. See if we can do anything here. 10 minutes left. There's about 5 good laps here coming through. Blanchimont both looking very committed. Is there going to be a move coming through bus stop? They're going to be side by side. There's going to be at least one axle across. Unfortunately, no move materializing for the Mustang. Not yet, anyway. Holmberg is going to be dropping the position to McNair, meanwhile, as we're going to rewind time just a little bit. See exactly what happened. There you go. That is going to be a pretty clean overtake coming out of Poulfrère and heading into Blanchimont. Jarrett also, meanwhile, also going to be making an attack of their own, this time on Paul Wallace. As Wallace has been a driver who has consistently held their own. Relatively stayed out of trouble. Alex North has now headed back into the pits. We are down to 27 finishers now, folks. 27 cars. Not quite catching is the Ferrari. Let's see the other Ferrari of Damien Reed. See how he's doing over here. Down into the Camel Straight now. Overall, Lindblom making up 0.3 of a second on Larson from last lap. Good solid race from everyone near the front and the mid-pack as well, continuing to fight and give it the absolute all. Alex North back out after his second pit stop of the session. Going to rejoin in P25. Damien Reed remaining aggressive. Good stuff from the Ferrari. Trying to keep as much pace as he can coming through P1. A wobble there from Wilson. This could be his chance. Oh, big jump up onto the curbs there. He's not going to get the exit speed, but hasn't got the space to make a move, Reed. So it's going to remain in P11 for now. He could try something into the bus stop or even Blanchimont. But times are looking tough. Times are looking tough for some as they try to get the moves, and it's just not happening. Regardless, great fighting and great racing being had nonetheless. Now back up to the front now is going to be Lindblom. Once again, tale as old as time. Not quite getting the gains from last lap, but the timing-wise, Lindblom's had enough of waiting. He's going to poke the nose into the right, coming out of Kemmel. It's going to be an attack as we end up in the start of Sector 2. Lecombe is going to be a big slide moment, big heart-and-mouth moment for Lindblom as we now head into Bruxelles. Remaining behind Johan Larsson for now. A little bit deep into the downhill 180 corner. Yeah, definitely a heart-in-mouth moment there for the Mustang. Really getting the slide on coming out of turn 9. Bit of a frustration moment, I don't doubt, because he's been fighting for this spot for at least 3 laps now. chasing down that position. No, McLaren, though to his credit, Larson has done an excellent job of defence. Honestly, just great driving all round. Great attack, great defence. Great racing from both, which is what we want to see. See a few potential moves being teed up. McNair has been a bit of a silent winner here. Trevor and Payton have traded behind along with Mitchell and Goddard, but McNair has silently caught up the gap quite significantly to the point where he's now on the back of Patrick Larson, where he was about 2 seconds away just a few laps prior. He's down some excellent pace relative to the competition. 218.1 in a sea of 219s, nothing to scoff at. Even Cutler's currently running 19.2s. And Colin McNair has, I believe, the best silver time in the race distance. The quality is one thing, but Colin is proving to be quite the race merchant monster. We'll see if he can materialise a move against the likes of Larson. But coming up to the front again, it's finally time. I think he's going to be fully committing and going for it now. It's fully side by side between Lindblom and Larson, but a little bit deep there from the Mustang. Is going to remain the apex of turn 8, but not going to have the pace into turn 9. And once again, we are not seeing those moves come to fruition. Really rough stuff here for Lindblom, because he's trying and trying again to get these moves, and it's just not happening. The McLaren is just in the right place at the wrong time. McNair is finding something similar, although he didn't get long side by side through Kemmel. Very much about putting the pressure on, baiting Patrick Larson into a mistake, and which he's just done there. That is Brissell. That is a clean overtake being done from Colin McNair. Very good use of pressure and making most of the space. A little bit of an overextend. Bruno Neyman heading into Pouon now. Well, is going to at least keep the spot, which is the big thing here. Colin doing absolutely excellently. Certainly one of the wins, big wins of the race today. Jump a bit forward and we can see Damien and Wilson. They are once again locking horns. They are fighting for a space. You can see Wilson started to succumb to the pressure, making mistakes left and right. A little bit of a wobble coming out of Stavolo. A little bit of a yield coming from Reed as he can't get past in time. Side by side into Blanchimont. That's certainly a daring move. He's going to yield, I think rightly so, as they were both set to go off track. Wilson getting a bit of a track limits note there. And heavy on the brakes into bus stops. Not going to get fully side by side, but it's just going to be enough to put the pressure on. Meanwhile, we jump to the front. We see Lindblom once again on the back, and this time even closer than ever as they're chasing that McLaren down. Now, are they going to be able to finally do it this time? Once again, Larson, tried and true, defends on the apex of turn 7. He's going to remain committed to the inside, though, turn 8, and just a squeeze there. Oh, bit of a slide. Bit of a slide from Johan. Remember, folks, we only got 2 minutes left, so after this lap, it's the final run around this course, and then the checkered flag falls. He's running out of time. Lindblom wants this position. He knows that this next lap is basically do or die. We've overall had a brilliant race, and some drivers have really shown their stuff, shown their moxie. Colin even already getting 2.5 seconds away from Patrick Larson. Great stuff there. Was following that move. Pressure is real and the push is even greater. A little bit of a tail slide from Damien Reed, but it's not going to be enough to deter him. Going to be right on the back of that BMW once again into Pouhon. I think every driver here is just acutely aware of how time is of the essence. We see him even poking alongside coming out of Pouhon into campus. It's going to be side by side with the BMW and the Ferrari. A little bit of an excursion into the curbs. This is going to be the move for Damien Reid here. He's waited long enough. He's had enough time in the wings. He's seen mistake after mistake from Wilson, and the pressure has surmounted into, as we see a bit of a tail snap coming from the front. That is going to be Damien Reid, now half a second clear of Chris Wilson in a brilliant move there. Now jumping up to the front, we can see once again, it's Groundhog Day again. But for these drivers, this is the last chance to confirm their position. Now either Larson walks away from this in the lead, potentially only to be stopped by the bus stop, or Lindblom can take a spot here. He hasn't got the slingshot momentum quite, but he's going to push regardless. Great speed coming out from the two of them. It's going to be all hands on deck for Johan Larsson as Lindblom is further ahead than ever. He's going to be on the apex once again at turn 8. Is that going to be enough of a defensive opportunity from the McLaren? He's going to remain side by side into turn 9. Down through into Brussels here. It's going to be Lindblom ahead. Is there going to be a chance for recourse from Larsson? We'll have to wait till bus stop, but an amazing move from the Mustang. Great stuff there. That's the move he's been waiting for over 10 laps now, I imagine. A bit of an overextend, in fact, from Larsson. He's just trying to keep pace, trying to keep proximity. It's not quite happening yet. Going to keep an eager eye on the both of them here. There's David Lindblom. After much trial and tribulations, got himself back up into first. He's been itching to do. An immense move from the Mustang. Certainly took a lot of bravery. Certainly had my heart racing. You can see now a second clear of Larsson. That was the golden ticket that the Swede needed. Excellent racing from the both of them. But in the end, there is one winner as we come up to the bus stop chicane through Blanchimont now and on to the final couple of corners in the Ford Mustang. Winning for the gold class, it's going to be David Lindblom. Amazing pace, amazing race. Coming up to the line now. Bit of a wobble, but still intact. That is the checkered flag alongside none other than another brilliant driver who put the fight to the front till the bitter end. That's Johan Larsson with Dave Marsh carrying up the rear as our top 3 for the gold class. Meanwhile, you have Paul Hamby going for a bit of a spin across the line. Wait, no, he hasn't crossed the line. He didn't cross the line. He dropped down to P7. He went for a spin. I'm not sure whether that was intentional or a genuine spin out, but he teetered across the line. It didn't cross it, so he was P5 and let P5 go to Justin Cutler in silver, along with Colin McNair in 6th place and Damien Reid in 10th. That is your top 3 for silver, and then bronze goes to the spin-stricken Paul Hamby, with Jorge Saloma doing a brilliant job keeping things tightly under control for the entire race into P12. And then you have none other than Gero Urso overcoming a bit of challenge as they come across the line, 3rd for bronze. And that is the field all coming through. Final runners finishing their laps here, folks. And I've got to say, as we wrap up things, it's been an excellent race tonight. Particularly at the front and the mid-pack, it's been nothing short of electrifying. Of course, this is going to have big ramifications for the championship, and it is going to be quite an exciting final 3 races as the season is looking to get wrapped up fairly soon. I've got much to be looking forward to. Whether you're a driver tonight, whether you're watching at home, or whether you're one of the 6 drivers who unfortunately did not finish. So, for instance, that is Homer, that is Hughes, that is going to be Pollock, Wolfslenner, Starkey, and Howells. You're one of those 6. Unfortunate, but still made it to the race and gave it your everything. And for the 26 who did finish, of course, excellent job. And with that all being said, folks, that is where we wrap things for tonight. It's been an amazing race, as always. It's been an amazing opportunity and a privilege to cast over tonight's racing. And to you at home, make sure that you give a like on the stream, you subscribe if you enjoy what we do. And with that all being said, you're going to be able to catch this and more, as we are going to very soon be heading to another realm. It's going to be the land of the free. It's going to be Indianapolis. And tonight, at least, we are going to be signing off. So, Hamby, you're saying that wasn't planned, but it was stylish, that's for sure. And you still retained P1 for bronze, so can't knock that too much. Either way, I've been Ben Sapsford, aka Sapitron. It's been a pleasure to be your caster for tonight. And as for the rest of the season, we have much to discuss and much to look forward to. But that is a journey for another day. Be sure to stay tuned, folks. You won't want to miss it. For now, good night.